probably one of the watershed moments was it was typical that if there was a search warrant on a big property where there would be a lot of people, then they'd have to call agents from all over different regions.
Right.
And so there was a search warrant down in Southern California, and so all the agents, including myself from Northern California, were taken down to this big property to execute a search warrant.
Sure.
And we go into this very huge house, and they had walk-in closets and walk-in everything. I mean, it was big. Mm-hmm. Anyway, the gentleman had a library of books, and I walk into this little library that he had, and I'm looking at the books because, we're seizing things. We're seizing jewelry. We're seizing anything that might indicate that this gentleman has broken the law.
Wow.
And I start to encounter books that I had on my own shelf.
Oh my gosh. You're kidding me. Oh, that had to be such a weird, realization.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're in the process of seizing this man's property and his wife's property. He's under massive investigation. Obviously, you guys had a warrant. This was a big operation, and you're seeing the same books that you're reading. What did you think?
Well, it wasn't my case. In other words, like I say, we were brought down to just, do certain things. At the time, I was the asset forfeiture coordinator. So even though there were a lot of agents that were senior to me, it was my job to be able to justify that whatever was taken, we had the authority to take, or at least, take into evidence.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of the guys that had white hair back when I had brown hair, who said,
that happens to all of us.
they wanted to take a bunch more than they were authorized to take. And so I had to, go toe to toe with these older agents and say, look, I'm the asset forfeiture coordinator. I have to be responsible for the stuff that we're taking. And we're not they wanted to take the jewelry. They wanted to take all kinds of stuff that just wasn't authorized. And so I had to say, look, we're not doing it. And they backed off.
Good for you.
And the wife and the daughter were actually present when I was having this argument with these other agents, and they're just like, why is that guy sticking up for us? But it was more just sticking up for the law and not wanting to break the law. And some of the other agents were just very cavalier. It's like, well, let's take the jewelry. Let's take the stuff out of this closet. Like, they just wanted to mess with the people. That's what it seemed like. I couldn't read their mind, but.
Or actually, they didn't know what you knew.
Well, that wasn't their responsibility, but then they were just so cavalier about,
just taking everything.
Take all the jewelry. Like, well, if you don't have the justification, why are you taking someone's property
basically stealing their property?
I mean, I would call it theft if you take it without permission or right. Sure.
Well, I would imagine they were not happy with you that day.
No, but fortunately, I had the position of the asset forfeiture coordinator, so they had to just kind of back off because I had earned a pretty good reputation by that time as a hard worker and straight with everyone. I didn't play favorites or wasn't a jerk to anybody. But that day was a real watershed because I'm like, okay, well, I've got the same books, and not only the same books, but I mean, some of those books had some really powerful information in them.
Oh, yeah.
Part of what convinced me, or at least opened my eyes to things that the IRS never taught me, was never on the CPA exam, not in my tax class at San Jose State University.
So I'm sure you were wondering, who is this guy?
Yeah, and why wouldn't I have been shown this information during an IRS training? I mean, if I'm here to support and defend the Constitution, right?
Of course.
And obey the law, but they're not. They're hiding all these parts of the law.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was about 2 years, 2.25 years of this off-duty, just pounding on it, just little by little and chipping away. So when it got to be early 1999, I was talking with Paymon pretty frequently. He'd introduced me to all kinds of, patriotic people who, again, it wasn't really about their personality necessarily, even though they were all salt of the earth people, but they had real evidence to show me, like internal IRS transcripts that showed fraudulent coding information out of the Internal Revenue Manual, which is the IRS's Bible, right, about how they're supposed to actually enforce and administer the law. They showed me sections out of that that I thought had to be made up, that the IRS had very limited authority